Good morning,
Good
everyone. You
morning.
are watching the chat session on the This Way Network, and Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. We are here. It is Christmas Day. It has been an amazing morning. Everyone, thank you for
Mhm.
all our viewers out there who hung in there with us and have been watching. We actually were getting everything warmed up here, and we're here. And Nina, how has the holiday been? And there we have our guest.
There's Mike.
We had a
Yay.
false start there earlier. Sorry about that, everybody. We
We
had a little
did.
bugaboo
We
here.
did. That was my bad, y'all. My
Don't
bad.
worry
I'm
about it.
sorry.
We are all here, and I'm so excited about this. Well, today
Yeah.
you're watching the chat session here on the This Way Network, and our title for today is New Year, New Future. And as we close out 2023, we're looking at a brand new year. And we've got a wonderful guest with us here. I was here in Southern California, had the pleasure of being in Dana Point, and there was this wonderful conference, and that's where I had the opportunity to meet Mr. Mike Dewey and his business partner. And they have something that's really, really amazing. Nina, I'm going to let you kind of kick things off because we've got so much information. It's going to be an incredible show. So take it away, Nina.
Well, thank you, Rodney. And Rodney knows I love to ask all the questions. And Mike has already told me enough that makes me just want to know more. But I don't want any one of you to miss a thing of what we've
Mm-hmm.
already heard. So, Mike, I understand that you started an organization called Hidden Star,
Right.
right?
Right.
Okay. How did that start? How did that happen? How'd you get the idea to do it?
This is a story that people seem to love to hear, but my wife is really tired of it. So Barbara, sorry. Um, and so in 2016, so 7.5 years ago, I had sold out of my fourth company, and I'm kind of that guy. And I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. I didn't think I was old enough to retire, and I didn't think I'd be any good at it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm a runner, and I live in Austin, Texas, and there's this really famous running trail around the lake downtown. And so I'm running along, and I'm running and thinking and running and thinking, and what am I good at? Let's do more of that. What am I bad at? Let's stay the heck away from that. And there's this point on the trail where you have to run. You have to go single file across this bridge.
Okay.
And right as I'm coming up to this bridge, there's two guys coming toward me, and they work for the City of Austin Parks Department. There's two African-American guys, and they work for the City of Austin Parks Department. And I swear it was like something right out of a movie, because I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. I run past this first guy, and he turns around and says to his friend, and I heard him say, "Dude, I've got like 1,000 great ideas for a company."
Mm-hmm.
And I remember looking at him going, well, good luck with that, bud. That stuff's hard, man. That's like really hard. And so I kept running and thinking and running and thinking. And about a half mile later, it hit me like a brick. What if he's right? What if he did have an idea that ought to be a company? What if he did have a dream that ought to get pursued? And importantly, what if he did have a way to change his life and the life of his family? And I was like, well, somebody ought to help that guy. And I was like, well, I just sold a company. I got a little walking around money. I got a little time on my hands. I'll help him. So I turned around and ran back. And because I'm old and slow, he was gone when I got there. But it got me thinking, how many other people are in these same exact circumstances? They want to do something. They want to improve their life and their future. And the future of their family. And they know that owning their own company is a really good way to do that, but they can't because they got three big problems. They don't know what to do. They don't know where to turn, and they couldn't afford it even if they did.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of knew immediately what I was going to do for the rest of my career. And so I went home and I put together the business model, the service delivery model of Hidden Star. And that's the concept that this world famous expert on minority business, John Butler, heard about and called the best idea in minority business in the last 50 years. Wow. And yeah. And so I just started it and started helping people. And 7.5 years later, we've had a remarkable amount of success. We've helped thousands of entrepreneurs start hundreds of companies and create a lot of jobs and a lot of wealth. We started this online project that has 300,000 members, but generally it was, if you're kind of sitting in my chair, the question is, how do you scale this thing? How do you reach more people, affect more positive change? Because somebody asked me a while back to describe Hidden Star in one sentence, and I said, well, Hidden Star is dedicated to the notion that America is better when we have more successful minority and women-owned businesses. Period. Full stop. And so I called Dr. Butler and I said, listen, it's time. We now know things, right? And so we went into the studio and we filmed this masterclass on every single thing you need to know to start a company, including very, very specific thing for women and minority entrepreneurs, because it is different. And, somebody asked my wife a while back, why is he doing this thing? And he said, well, Mike started 4 companies and it's hard for him.
Right.
And I can't imagine, which is why I'm doing all this stuff, but it's just harder.
Yes.
Women and minority entrepreneurs, and somebody ought, I'm nothing special. I'm just a guy, but I'm the guy who stopped what I was doing, did this. And it's been remarkably successful. And now we have this masterclass that we're putting out there that teaches everybody everything they need to know. And anyway, so it's a really long answer to a really short question.
No, because I have more questions. So let's see. Well, let's say I'm a woman and I want to start a business.
Yes.
What is it that Hidden Star can help me with?
Well, just about everything. And there's an interesting thing here, which is if you're going to open a barbecue restaurant or a gravel truck company or something, the presumption is that you know about those things, right? If a barbecue restaurant, you know how to cook brisket and all that kind of stuff. And so we're probably not going to teach you a lot about that. And, people always say, do what you have a passion for. And I wrote a book called The What to Do, Where to Turn, Who to Ask Guide for New Entrepreneurs. And in it, I say it all the time, which is this passion stuff is out of hand, right? A passion is useful only when you can sync it up with a workable business plan, right? And there's a lot of people that are passionate about this and that and the other, and they dive into this thing. And one of the reasons that the failure rate in the minority business community is so high is because there's not stuff like this out here until now, right? And because I don't care whether it's a barbecue truck or a gravel truck or a beauty salon. There are business fundamentals you have to know. And, there's anyway, so I'm telling you everything from how to pick up the legal entity. Is it a corporation? Is it an LLC? Is it a partnership? Is it a DBA? All that kind of stuff, all the way down to how do you monetize the audience you built? How do you do social media marketing and everything in between, including the language of business, the financial statements and all that kind of stuff. So Nina, it's kind of everything actually.
Right. So do you, if I was starting a business, would you just say, okay, here's my master class, everything you need to know is right there? Or is there something beyond that?
Golly, that's a great question. So there's something beyond that, right? Because everybody needs help. And one of the interesting things about guys like me, right, is I start a business, I know exactly who to call. I've met them all before. And after I start a company, if I'm having trouble, I know who to call again, right? And so what we've done here is we've got this masterclass. And we purport to tell you everything you need to know, blah, blah, blah. And we do, right? And the challenge is what next, right? I joke around and say I'm going to have to write a second book because, and then the first book is the What to Do, Where to Turn, Who to Ask Guide for New Entrepreneurs. The second book is going to be called, Oh crap. I started a business not going well. Well, every business is going to hit bumps and all that kind of stuff. So what we're doing at Hidden Star and our Galaxy of Stars project is we've got a community of entrepreneurs who have taken this class and who have joined up over the last. I mean, we have 350,000 members right now, and what's interesting is it's been difficult to kind of how do you convey the value of a message board community, right? Because if you haven't used a message board, they're freaking awesome. And when they work, they're kind of magical, right? And so we're building this community of entrepreneurs so that if you start a barbecue truck and you're a woman entrepreneur, there's a message board for you to go in there and talk to other people just like you in other cities, going through exactly what you're going through right now. And there's almost nothing more powerful than that kind of network, right? To say, hey, Nina, okay, you ran this ad and it didn't work or didn't pay off. What do you do now? Or, change this, or your CPA didn't do that. What do you do now? All that. But it's an invaluable resource. And it's pretty. The problem with the message board is getting somebody to do it one or two times, because the minute you do it, it's pretty awesome.
So that's one thing that
you're on mute.
Oh, that's right.
Hold on, I'm on mute. I'm sorry. I was saying, everybody, you're watching the chat session. We're on the This Way Network, and we have a wonderful guest on today, Mr. Mike Dewey with Hidden Star. I just want to take we had some actual people saying hello. We actually have someone, Elwina from Poland is here. We have a lot of great people. I saw someone coming from Utah that's watching. So wonderful. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Mark Bridget, thank you very much from Utah. And we have some of our favorites. Carrie is here. So many. And AC Cruz, thank you so much. Merry Christmas, everybody. And today's show, again, it is a new year, a new future. And that's what Hidden Star is all about. And I'm very honored. We actually have a commercial running on KJBM radio. We actually have Mike Dewey's spot that's running, and we are advertising hiddenstarlearning.org. And that is another part of Hidden Star. That is a masterclass. Mike, we were talking earlier, and you said you had one of the top professors in America from business that you have partnered up with. And being a professor in business, you guys have put together this masterclass, and you actually have, and is 5 hours long. Is that correct?
It's 5.5 hours, it's broken up into a bunch of chunks, manageable time, self-paced, just whenever you get 15, 20 minutes, you can do this. And then the curriculum is laid out pretty well, so that if you say, I don't have time for this right now, but I need to learn what a balance sheet is, right? You just look where it is and you go straight to it. And it's, but yeah, it's 5.5 hours and it's pretty good stuff.
Mike, quick question. You understand business, having operated, built and sold 4 companies. I mean, that's a science in itself,
right?
But you know that when it comes down to business, so many business fail within a short, amount of time. What is it that is really key to helping sustain a business? They say a business that fails the plan. So what are some of the key things that maybe off the top of your checkoff list, and I heard you say, becoming an LLC is important. So talk to me about that.
Well, there's a whole lot of things that have to happen, right? And I'm just going to stick with the barbecue for a minute, right? Just because it's easy. I'm in Texas. And so let's say you know how to cook barbecue really, really well. And every time you cook barbecue, people are like, oh my God in heaven, you should open a restaurant, or you got great cookies or whatever it is. And so you know how to do the core competency of that. Well, that's a big, giant piece of it. No one's going to come to a barbecue restaurant that serves really terrible stuff. Got that. However, I mean, there's I tell this story in the class, which is when I first started Hidden Star, I had done it myself, started and sold 4 companies, worked in private equity and all that. And I was like, okay, I got to change this stuff. And I went out and I bought 32 books on how to start a business. 32. I mean, I got Business for Dummies, Entrepreneurship for Dummies, Dummies for Dummies. I mean, if they wrote it, I bought it, right? And so, and they all say the same thing, right? And they say, if you got to have a business plan, you got to have a business plan. Okay. And one of the terms I've learned later in my career that's really helpful is, what does success look like? Mm-hmm. So if I'm teaching an employee how to do something, or if I'm counseling somebody, what is that? What is the end game, right? What does that look like? What does success look like, right? And all of the books, all 32, swear to God, all of them said, hey, you got to have a business plan. Nina, got to have a business plan. Mm-hmm. Not a single one of them showed you what it looked like when it was done. Not one. I mean, it's not like 2 of them did, but none of them did. And so one of the things you'll see in our book and in this class is what the dang business looked like. I mean, we put examples of business plans of companies that got funded. Mm-hmm. So it's one thing to know all the questions. It's another one to know how to write the answer. And it's little like that. They just don't have, and it's listen, it doesn't have anything to do with intellect or want to or any of that. It has to do with access, right? Mm-hmm. What we're providing is access to business expertise that they've never had, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, if you go to, and we're trying to create a farm system that they can come up with and people they can lean on and all that kind of stuff. But
so, and this is through those message boards you were talking about.
Yeah, and we have, and we're we just launched this thing. This masterclass is pretty brand new, actually, and so we're going to have quarterly, webinars where like this, where anybody can come on and ask us questions. Dr. Butler and I will do it together, and all that. But it's easy access to the information and the support network, and both those are terribly important. And back to your question, one of the things we do is, the business plan and all that kind of stuff. There's a checklist. Mm-hmm. I mean, think how basic that is. You can't find it except with our deal, right? So once you get the masterclass, you get access to all this stuff online. There's a checklist of these 30 or 31 things you have to do. Now, generally they're in order, but you can skip over and you can do number 17 before you do number 11. But eventually, you're going to have to do number 11, right?
Right.
And so it's just, listen. If I can start a company, anybody can do it. I promise you. I'm not very smart, but I've had great mentorship, and I've had access to stuff, but the ability to say, okay, here's a checklist, print it out, put it on the wall. You just got to do it. Right. And if we can match passion up with all of the things that you have to do, the odds of success just skyrocket.
Yeah. Yeah. That, I love I guess I'm one of those people who needs a checklist, but I like that. I like that concept that there is a very clear path forward, and there's somewhere to go when I hit the snag. You think you may know something, you read it or you listen to it and you think, okay, I've got it. I understand this. And then you start doing it and you suddenly realize, oh, no, wait, I don't. Now what? Who do I ask?
Well, Nina, if it only took one time, you wouldn't have to go to church every Sunday.
That's true. Right. That's so true. So Mike, Again, let's say I'm starting a business
Uh-huh.
and I've connected with Hidden Star. I've taken the master class. I know you said that costs something.
Uh-huh.
So is that a very heavy investment?
No, absolutely not. God, like one of the things that we do in the class is we talk about pricing, both the concept and the execution of pricing strategy, because it's pretty complicated, actually. So we thought about what were we going to charge for this thing. We're not going to give it away. Never, ever give it away. And here's why.
Right.
Everything we've ever done with Hidden Star is free, right? This isn't free because the human brain assigns a value to things. And if they assign 0, they don't value it. It's not free. It's worthless, right? So we brought in a bunch of folks, probably 12 or 15, showed them the class, including a couple of pricing experts, said, how much would you pay for that? And it was somewhere between $495 and $2,000, because there's master classes all over the internet that are $5,000 or $6,000.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah. That's right.
And I said, well, no, how about we don't do that? Because we get, if it's one thing we know, it's who we represent here. Right. And so we have priced this class at $99, which is, and there's these cool companies springing up now where the one we're partnered up with is called Afterpay. And if Nina, if you want to buy the class and get started, they'll pay for the class, and then you only have to pay $24 right now, and then $24 every month until you pay that thing off. Right.
Oh, awesome. I love that there's a payment plan.
Yeah. So you can start this class for $24, and without putting too fine a point on it, if your future's not worth $99, don't bother. Right.
I totally agree with that. Yep. But it's so great to know that, because this is thinking from the angle of someone who doesn't have a lot of money, which that's me. So if you told me it was $500 or $2,000, I'd be thinking, but I could have invested that in my business. And not that this isn't an investment, but it just makes it so much harder to think of getting started when you have such a huge chunk of money. And to people like me, that is a huge chunk of money. Now, $99 is not. That's like, okay, that may still be, I may still have to budget for that, but that's doable. Yeah. That is so doable. And to know that actually I could break it up into more payments is a wonderful thing too.
Yeah, there's also an interesting thing here, which is I think about risk a lot, right? What's the risk? Right. And there's a risk. There's a risk to do everything, and we're like, okay, how do we de-risk this for our audience? And so not only is it $99, not only is it literally, this is a top 5 masterclass on the internet. Swear to God.
Wonderful.
There's a money back guarantee.
Wow.
Well, this is reflective of the audience we serve, right? And if Johnny or Janie and it has to scrape together money and buy this class, which is an investment in themselves, and they decide that we didn't help it at all, well, we're getting their money back. We don't care. We just the whole thing is, how do you de-risk it for the folks that we serve, and how do we serve more people? And so low price. Money back guarantee, best content available. I think we've done just about everything we can do.
All right. So what is the course that you suggest people take when they approach Hidden Star and they say, I want to start a business, I don't know where to begin? What's the first thing they need to do? Is it the master class, or is there something else they need to do first?
Well, there's 2 things here. One is if you had approached me 3 years ago at Hidden Star and said, hey, I want to open a donut shop, right? There's 2 fallacies from our perspective that we've learned over the years. Is number one, that it has to be some sort of unique, truly unique idea, this unicorn thing. No, listen, car repair shops and donut shops have sent a lot of kids to college, paid a lot of mortgages, bought a lot of cars, and there's nothing new or unique about donuts or car repair shop, but they're businesses and they're good and they're solid, and that's America, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And not everybody's going to start Amazon or Uber, which is great, but you can start a donut shop. You can start a car repair shop, and we'll teach you everything you need to know. Swear to God. And then and then when I talk about passion, right? If Nina, if you had a passion for baking cookies, you can turn that into a business. But you have to know there's rules. There's actual rules. We got an entire chapter in the course called Rules of the Game.
Right.
And if you, I dare you to go play baseball without knowing the rules. I mean, there's rules to everything. And but it's, the first order of business is figure out what you want to do. This class will let you examine whether or not that's a viable business, because we spend a whole chapter on that. And, because there's a lot of people out there, and we talk about it in the class, I like, if you guys know any bird watchers, those people are passionate, man. They will travel around and they will watch this last 7 orange hornbeat, this, that, and they'll talk about it, and it's great. They can't really make a profitable business out of that, right? So you got to match passion up with a proven business model and how to do that. But once you do that, it's pretty damn easy, actually. You'd be shocked, Nina, at how smooth it goes if you follow that checklist. Because when people come to Hidden Star, we call it ambition tests, right? So if you came and wanted to start a donut shop, I'd say, oh, great, that's a fantastic idea. Where do you want to put it? You'd say, well, I want to put it at the corner of 2nd Street in Maine. And I'd say, go find out how many donut shops were within a 5-mile radius of that, and come back and tell me, then go to the next step. Well, that's an ambition test, right? If you don't come back with all that information, you weren't all that interested anyway.
Right.
Research. Got to do a little research and development.
Yeah. And so no one's, even us, we're not just going to give you success. I mean, there's work involved. And, but the payoff on the other side is so unbelievably different. You can change families for generations with this stuff. And it's,
so Mike, let's say they come back with that information and they say, oh, Mike, I found 10 donut shops within a 5-mile radius of the location that I want. What are you going to tell them? You're going to say, well, sorry, you're just probably not going to do well because the market's already saturated. Or you're going to say you need to look for a different location, or here's how you can beat your competitors at that spot.
Well, if we have time, I'll tell you a great story right to that point. So I got a call from a lady who in a capital city of a southern state. I'll just leave it at that. And she was starting a barbecue truck. She had worked as a manager in the state government. Her husband's a civil engineer. She's an African-American couple. And they had taken all their money out of their 401ks. They bought this barbecue truck. And there is this truck. It's a freaking truck, right? And so she parked this truck, and they opened up, and nothing happened. Nothing happened. I mean, and so she hears about us, and she calls and she gets a hold of me, and we start talking. I was like, well, and there's tools online, and I was like, well, where's your truck? And she told me, and I'm looking at the map, and I was like, well, why did you park it there? She said, well, I know the guy that owns the shopping center, and he let us park it there. I was like, oh, okay, well, cool. How many cars do you think go by you every day? And she's like, oh man, a lot, like 100, 200. It's like 200. Last company I started, that street had when we were looking for locations, you had to have 40,000 cars a day just to get on our list, right? And I was looking, and it turns out there's an acid, there's a thing every the street data, the vehicle volume data on every street in America is online.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Now, see,
Mm.
that's valuable information right there that most people don't know. I wouldn't even know to go look that up because I didn't know it was available.
Anyway, so we're on a call and I'm looking at all this stuff. And I said, here's the Capitol, here's all the bureaucracy, blah, blah, blah. And I said, listen, if you'll move that thing, 7 blocks to the east and 2 blocks to the north and park it on the east side, you'll do better. She's like, why? And I said, well, you sell barbecue, right? No one's buying barbecue for breakfast. You want people as they're leaving the Capitol, right? On the way home. And so she said, well, I don't know that guy. I said, well, that's all right. He sells space for money. So she went and did a deal with that guy. And they now have 8 barbecue trucks and 32 employees. But you got to go hunting where the ducks are, right?
Right.
And so to your question, all I would say is just move your donut shop from the location you thought about to somewhere else what doesn't have 10 donut shops in a 5-mile radius, and you'll do just fine. It's
awesome.
I swear she and her husband had taken all their 401ks out. They were actually going broke.
Wow.
They were going to go broke. And it's just as simple as knowing where to look. And this class
I think that right there was a great example of some of the expertise that Hidden Star can give to potential entrepreneurs that they wouldn't have otherwise, and they wouldn't even know to look for. That was gold right there.
Wow.
So, Mike, let me ask you one more very important question. Do you only help people who are trying to start brick and mortar businesses, or?
No, it's we're everywhere along the continuum, right? From I'm thinking about maybe possibly starting a business to I just started a business, or I'm in the process of starting a business to I started a business 5 years ago and I wish I had known blank, right? So, and I'll tell you this. So I hope that makes sense. So anywhere along that continuum, our audience isn't just, hey, Nina, you want to start your own business right now. That's self-identifying. That is for certain. You are our audience, and your friend who started a business 6 months ago is an audience. That's normal. It's intuitive. We get it. Our audience is, the premise at the center of Hidden Star is how do we bring economic opportunity to people who, through no fault of their own, have been cut out of the system, right?
Wow.
And I get to talk like that because I do the work I do, right? And there's a lot of people that, through no fault of their own, have been cut out of this system. And so how do we bring economic opportunity to them? And now you think about, okay, well, what about a guy who works for $11 an hour in a distribution center hauling boxes? He's never thought about starting his own company ever, right? What about the young lady that works in retail who hates her boss and gets yelled at by the customers, right? They've never thought about all that stuff. And all of a sudden, and we'll talk about that in a second, but their whole lives, they've been told you can't do that.
Right. Right.
So along comes Hidden Star saying, of course you can do that. And we'll show you exactly how. So if you don't like your job, if you don't like the way your life is laying out, if you want to change all that stuff and change it for your family, we'll teach you all that stuff. You don't even have to quit your job. Take this class, nights and weekends. You can start a side hustle, e-commerce, gravel trucks, anything in between. It's a business. Is a business. We're not going to teach you how to cook barbecue. We assume you know that.
Mike, do you believe in the power of corporate credit? Again, a lot of times you had mentioned starting out, setting up an LLC. A lot of times people don't realize that a lot of corporations, if you are a DBA or an individual trying to do something, when you are set up with a corporate structure, you actually have the ability to go in, and sometimes your credit cards will allow you to have that net 30, that net 60, that net 90 to pay back things. So that allows you to do some business here. And it's a great thing. Your masterclass is something that could be, and someone just put up there, That's right. It could be a great holiday gift. It's only $99, but you also have a system that they will actually even break it down into $24.99, $24.99 payments. And this masterclass is 5.5 hours long and professionally put together by one of the top business professors in the country. And, I wanted to also point out something to you. I'm actually with a great organization, and they are with HUD. And a lot of people don't realize that HUD has something called Justice 40. All the revenue generated by the federal government, they have made a mandate that 40% of all the revenue generated in America has to go back to minority businesses and depressed areas. 40%. So this is a huge opportunity for people who, yes, go ahead, sir.
Well, we spend a lot of time in the class talking about exactly that, right? Because one of the things that we get a little bit, and it's irritating as heck, is why is it special? Why is it just for women and minorities? Well, the truth of the matter is it's different, right? It is different. It is harder, and it's just stupid to not acknowledge that that's the truth. We spend a lot of time in the class talking about what you just talked about, Rodney. There are revenue opportunities, there's financing opportunities, there's all kinds of opportunities that governments and companies and people have said, okay, we're going to try and help minority and women entrepreneurs, but no one knows about them, right? So we spend, you take our class, you'll know about them for sure, right? And one of the things we've told people for a long time at Hidden Star is, you'll find out soon enough that there are people out there that want to help you. Okay. Let them.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And
it's good to know.
Well, I mean, I'm a perfect example. Who the heck would have thought that an investment banker, private equity entrepreneur, old white guy from Texas would be doing this, right? But it's just a thing. And there's a lot of people out there, but they don't know how to go find these things. I mean, a little thing like this. Let's say you got Nina's Nuggets, right? And you're a lunch thing, and you live in Des Moines. There's easily 20 government agencies out there that are going to buy lunch for a conference next week. And they'll buy it from you if they know you exist. So you get your fire and you go, but no one ever thinks about that stuff, right?
Right.
And by the way, they do that twice a month, right? And it's a really great thing. And it's so we spend a lot of time in the class thinking about the minutia of what's different for women and minority founders and the solutions for that.
So you're appealing not just to people who want to start brick and mortar businesses, but also people who might want to provide a service where they're actually going to their customers, or even people who are trying to start online businesses.
And whether it's full-time or part-time, we talk a lot about risk, right? Let's say you have a job at in somewhere in Huntsville, and you don't feel comfortable about the viability of the business enough yet. You can start it as a part-time side business, grow it till it can accommodate you and handle it, and then you step away from your job into this other one. The way the metaphor I use is you got to have another boat in the water, right? Because if the boat you're on sinks, you got a real problem, right? So it doesn't have to be a big giant boat; it just has to float, right? So it's all about de-risking it. And so if we can say, hey, you can start a company on the side and grow it until it can support you, and then you can step away, or if you're unemployed, I mean, think about all the people coming out of the United States military or coming out of the criminal justice system or whatever, who've never ever been told that starting and owning your own company is a viable option. Now it is. Because in one place, you're going to learn everything you need to know.
Mike, quick question. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Carrie had a
got
question.
Oh,
I
Carrie, go
know.
ahead.
Yeah, Carrie had a question there. She
Mhm.
asked, does he give you ideas of businesses when you would love to be in business, but you have no idea of what to do? So it's not just starting a business, but maybe it's like, I want to change my life. I want to get out of this rat race I'm in, or I want to get away from that job that's not doing me well. And, but I don't know what to start. I'm willing to work. I just don't know what to do.
Yeah. So we get that a lot. I mean, a lot. And one of the things that we've learned, and this is going to sound, I don't know what's going to sound, but it's not intended to sound self-serving, which is one of the things that you'll learn is as you go through your daily life, right?
Mhm.
And whether you have a job or whatever it is,
Mhm.
that the further you get into this class, it'll crystallize itself for you, right?
Right.
Because
Mhm.
you don't need to raise $1 billion to start a microchip plant.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Once is one of the things we're learning here is that when people understand how basic these fundamentals are,
Mhm.
right, then all of a sudden stuff they never thought about, they're like, well, wait a minute, I could do a donut shop, right?
Mhm.
Okay,
Right.
let's start. Or now let's apply this to that, or let's so, and then the online community of entrepreneurs, of people that have taken this class, they're swapping ideas like that all the time.
Mhm.
Right. And so there's all kinds. So the short answer is we're not going to, we do have a list of the best businesses to start, but there's a lot of support. This class will crystallize or help crystallize. Or that's the feedback we've gotten. It helps crystallize in their mind what they can do.
Mhm.
Mike,
Mhm.
I mean, I heard you earlier. You said, you know what, find your passion, because oftentimes people who have a passion for something, that really have a passion, they're going to feel energized once they learn the processes, the steps. On the call, or actually watching, you're watching the This Way Network here um well, you're watching the chat session on the This Way Network, and I have a dear friend, DeAndre Adams. DeAndre Adams, he was a professional bodyguard from the entertainment industry. He used to bodyguard the Black Eyed Peas. I mean, traveled all around the world, but he has started something that's really cool, and he has female owned and operated security services. A lot of times people don't think that these ladies can do it, but DeAndre has a very dedicated list of women who are security people. So that's one unique thing. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people who have businesses. There was a question that came in. A colleague of mine had actually texted me and said, if you have your business plan and you have everything set up, you're set up as an LLC, how do you access that next level? Once you have that set, how do you access that capital? Because capital is hard to get.
If you think about the work that we've done for 7.5 years, right, which is under-resourced minority entrepreneurs, right? We've gotten pretty good at giving advice to people who don't have any money, right? And if I could tell you another real quick story. So I live in Austin. I've got a friend of mine here, and we were talking one day right at the beginning of Hidden Star,
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, I had just read this article where
Mm-hmm.
a lot of minority and women entrepreneurs didn't have much money. In fact, on average, about $300 they could scrape together to start a company. And he said, wow, what does that mean to you? And I said, well, it means to me that I need to have a plan to help people that only have $300 start a company.
Mhm. Mhm.
And he said,
Right.
Mike, that's impossible. Don't do it. You're giving them false hope. It's just impossible. And I said, I'll tell you what, I'll bet you $10,000. If I can do it, you donate $10,000 to Hidden Star. If I can't do it, I'll donate $10,000 to your favorite charity. Game on. In my book, there's the chapter of how I started a company that became profitable at $293. And
Wow.
so the only people who have ever put money into Hidden Star is me and this dude that lost a bet. because he thinks you have to have a lot of money to start a company, and it's just a fallacy. There's a lot of companies out there, Rodney, that people can start with just doing stuff.
Yes,
right?
sir.
And now, if you actually need capital, there's a whole not just one. There's 2 sections in the class about where do you find it, how do you talk to them, how do you fill out all that stuff. I mean, it's pretty granular. It's not. It's very, very granular about how you do all that stuff. So, and there's sources of capital for minority and women entrepreneurs that only can be accessed by them, and not guys like me, which is great.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Wow. I mean, it's leveling the playing field. And again, when you look at America, we have such a shortage of service-related skilled labor out there because, you know, our nation's building, it's growing. Here's an example. I was actually the business development manager for a college, and this college was developing certified people in alcohol and drug counseling, electrical, and HVAC. And you've got these young kids that were out there that were they've been working in warehouses. They were in their early 20s. They were just tired of this dead end job, and they wanted to have something more. So they came to the college. They were getting certified in electrical. Here's just ingenious business. These young people were getting certified in electrical. They learn how to wire up houses and do this thing. Well, guess what? A lot of people are buying electric cars, and they didn't want to spend that extra money of putting the charging stations in. Do you know these young kids, they weren't even certified yet. And I overheard these guys talking because I was talking to them and I said, listen, guys, you don't have to work for anybody. You can start your own business. And that had these young guys gassed up. And I said, look, I started telling them about setting up an LLC. And I said, look, by the time you get out, you can have your LLC formed. You can be ready to roll. And believe it or not, I heard these 2 young guys outside talking. They said, you know what we did this weekend? My neighbor had an electric car and he didn't want to pay for the charging station to get wired up, and we wired it up. Those kids were banging. They were going around car dealerships, and as soon as people rolled out, they were meeting them at the curb and said, hey, can we charge up? Can we hook up your charging station? Hey, we're electricians. We could do it. We could save you all this money. We'll do it for $900. And those guys were banging $900. And they said it would took maybe about 2.5 hours to set up. And they said those guys were turning money. So that entrepreneurship, that vision, that dream is amazing. And again, hiddenstarlearning.org. They have a great master class, just $99. You can get in a lot of these master classes that you see online. They're hundreds and hundreds of dollars. You've got to travel places. They have a great format here, Mr. Mike Dewey. And again, hiddenstarlearning.org. And even if you say, well, $99 kind of stings me, they have a system that they can break it down to just $24.99. You can break it up in payments and you can still take this fantastic course. And so this has just been a wonderful time. Mike, you have hundreds of thousands of people that you've helped. You've built up businesses and showed people the way. If there is something that you could say, because there are some people talking, I saw someone saying that they wanted to invest in gold. What would you say would be a good thought?
It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. You can do it. I promise you can do it. And you know what happens is, you know, and it's odd for a guy like me to talk about stuff like this, but for a whole lot of people, way too many people, their whole life, all they've heard is what you cannot do.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't be good at math. You can't do all this other stuff. And because I'm in Texas, we get to talk this way. That's bullshit, right? It's just crap. And because they can do it. And along comes somebody saying, not only can you do it, I promise you can do it. Here's everything you need to know.
Mhm.
And here's a community of people just like you going through exactly what you're going through. And and I'll tell you this, a lot of the people that we helped at Hidden Star have been beaten on their whole life, right?
Mhm.
And I would say, Johnny, we're going to help you. We're going to do everything we can, and you might still fail, right?
Mhm.
Good, you might, right? And then I would say something they had never heard before, and that is, and if you do, we will pick you up, we will dust you off, and we will help you again.
Mhm.
And all of a sudden, the clouds part, sun shining, birds chirping. It's a different kind of way to look at this stuff, right? Which is success is not, failure is not terminal. There's a bunch of venture capital firms out there that will only invest in founders who have failed.
Wow.
That's right. Right.
And
Wow. That's interesting.
Because not only does it sting, it helps you learn, right? And
That's
so,
right.
so I'm not, everybody, there are some businesses that fail for sure. You take a class like this, your odds of failing go way, way down, way. Your odds of succeeding go way, way up. There's data for that, and the data's in the show or in the master class. But it's a really interesting thing. And how many people have been told again and again and again and again, you can't do that, you can't do this, you can't do that. You want to be an entrepreneur? What are you, crazy? And they're not crazy. I mean,
That's right. That's right.
There's
you know what, Mike, that the energy that you have, you can do it. That's what it's all about with Hidden Star Learning. And everybody, Nina, I know everybody, it is Christmas Day. This is a great gift. Again, everybody, remember, this has been an incredible opportunity. Again, hiddenstarlearning.org. Incredible masterclass. You can learn more information. Go to hiddenstar.org. Learn a little bit more about Mr. Mike Dewey, his incredible company. Nina, I'm going to let you wrap it up. Mike, will you come back with us again? Will you be on with us again?
Anytime you want. Happy to do it.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. Mike, I can already think of several people. I've already thought of several people who I would love to give this information to that I think would greatly benefit from it. I'm really looking forward to being able to tell them more and inviting them to come on the next time you're with us so that they can hear it all in person from you.
Well, if there's a better gift than a brighter future, I haven't seen it.
Me either. Thank you so much for coming on today. This is a wonderful Christmas present to our audience. And there's been a lot of great response here. We appreciate you so much. Thank you again for coming on. And we look forward to having you again. We'll be back in touch with you. Everybody out there, Merry Christmas to you. Thank you for joining us today on the This Way Network. And be of good courage. God is with us, and we are not alone. Bye, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everybody.